Good, how you doing?
Good. This guy right here came up, asked for 2 Long Island teas, told him we couldn't service 2 of them. I got 2 IDs. Said they're both for him. Said I can't do that still. Gets a shot. Long Island tea. Goes back over to the table. Sends his brave friend over with a fake ID that's obviously not him. Takes off. So he knows where he is. I want y'all to put him to the fucking room.
Okay. Did he show you a fake ID?
Yeah, he showed me a fake ID.
Okay. How's it going, man? Go ahead and put the phone down. My name's Officer Brandvold. I'm with the Airport Police Department. Where's your friend at that was with you?
He was back.
Okay.
So I say, I know I'm good.
Okay, can I see your ID real quick?
I got a passport.
You got a passport? Okay. So who was your friend that you were with?
His name is Taylor.
His name is Taylor?
Taylor.
Okay. So how do you know him?
We're co-workers.
Your coworkers? Where do you work with him at? Okay.
We live in Tampa.
Okay, so you're traveling together? So are you guys flying back to Tampa right now? Do you mind showing me your flight information? Is he trying to run to the gate to... Okay, but you guys are flying together? Okay, and let me give you a piece of paper to write his name down so I can have it spelled out. So he's not old enough to drink, right?
Oh, I didn't know that either.
So you were, did you buy him an alcoholic beverage?
This is mine. I got a shot of Tito's and I poured it.
Okay, go ahead and write his name down for me if you would. So he was traveling with the guy. He should be at Charlie 27 waiting to get on his flight.
Charlie 27, okay,
Yeah.
right.
So we're getting his name right now. So the bartender said that you walked up and you tried to get 2 of those. Were you getting one for him? Okay.
Well, 2 for me because I have anxiety, so I always...
Okay. Okay. Do you have a picture of Taylor? By any chance, did y'all take a selfie together or anything like that?
Let me see if I can find it.
Okay. He should be down by Charlie 27. That's where his flight is. His name's Taylor. That's him?
Yeah.
Can I get a picture of him?
Charlie, what?
Huh?
27? Charlie 27, what's his name?
Taylor,
Do you have any questions for me?
he's underage.
Huh?
He's underage. I didn't know that he was 21.
Okay, so that's what we're trying to. So wait, you're traveling with him, but you
We're
don't.
co-workers, so we got put on a business trip.
Oh, okay. So you're putting on a business trip, and you didn't know that he was on. Okay, is this the first time you've traveled with him? Ah, okay.
We
Do you have a business card?
marketing firm.
Do you have a business card?
I don't.
So you said a marketing firm?
Yeah, we work for a marketing firm. It's called.
Okay. So this is they just put you on a trip together. Y'all traveling in, so you had no. This
I
is
don't know him.
gotcha. Do you all like at your work? Do you like work remote? So you're not like.
We're in sales. We work at different Sam's Clubs.
Okay.
So like they
You work at
send us
different-
out here.
To like just like network and market and stuff like that. Okay. And he was one of the people that come in. Has he worked with the company very long, or do you even know?
I know he's been with my company for about 2 months now.
Okay, so he's fairly new. Okay. And was it at random that they send these people with you, or have you ever traveled with them before?
Well, I travel with my company. This is my first trip with him.
Oh, okay, first trip with him. Okay. So you didn't prior to this, you didn't really know the guy, right? Okay. Okay. So you didn't know he had a fake ID.
I didn't know he wasn't 21.
Gotcha. And were you surprised when he got up and peaced out?
Yeah, because I was listening. One of the managers was texting me, so I was listening to her voice note. I saw that interaction, and I saw him pick up his stuff and say, "Bro, let's just go." I was like, "Well, I'm listening to something," and then he walked off. And then,
Oh, he just peaced out.
yeah, he was just like,
Wow. Interesting.
and then I'm just sitting here like, well, I guess he went to the bathroom or something, and then.
He didn't ask you to purchase anything for him, right? That was what my coworkers was. Okay.
Because I got an extra Tito shot because he was like, you can only get one, so I was like, all right, give me a shot.
Okay.
So I poured it in there.
Let me go talk over here.
Yeah, I was looking at this number right here.
You're good. All right, so I'm Officer Smith, Airport Police. You know I got called today?
Yeah.
What happened?
I went up there with my friend's ID, and then he said, leave the cafe before we call the cops, and then, yeah. So I
You
left.
went up there with your friend's ID?
Yeah.
Which friend?
So I have another friend leaving to, I don't even know where he's going. I just met him today.
Okay. Let me see the ID.
Is that it, yes?
Yeah.
What you go up there? What you try to do? What were you trying to do with his ID?
What was that?
What were you trying to do with your friend's ID?
I was just trying to get a drink.
Okay, like what kind of drink? Alcohol?
I just said tea.
Where's your ID?
My ID?
If you just said a tea.
Yeah, can I get some tea?
So you went up to
It's a bar,
a bar and you asked for a sweet tea, but you provided an ID.
Can I get a tea?
Okay, so let's get it straight. So like if I just went to Chick-fil-A and I got a tea, and you got a tea, would you give me an ID?
I thought it was alcoholic, so I gave him that one. Yeah.
Okay. So you said you thought the tea was alcoholic?
What's that?
So you thought you were getting alcoholic tea, so you provided ID?
I just said, can I get a tea?
Okay.
And he said, where's your ID? So I just gave him that one.
All right, well, that's what we're here to figure out.
So you guys can just keep that one too. So.
Where's your friend at?
Which one?
That dude.
That dude? That's me.
No, the ID.
Oh, he gave me his ID while he was here.
Where's he at
He gave
now?
me that ID. I don't know. It was something good I met this weekend.
You just said you met him today.
Yeah, today. Or no, this weekend. Keegan.
Keegan? Okay, and you met him today.
What's that?
You met him today?
No, this weekend.
This weekend. And he just gave you this ID. What did he give it to you for?
Today.
Okay, you met him this weekend, but he was here today, and he gave you this ID for...
Just to have, yeah.
Just to have?
Yeah.
And to use it to buy tea from bars?
No, not from bars. I just kind of did it today. Just kind of see if I can get one,
just help me make sense of it.
Yeah, just trying to get one, but he gave me that ID.
No, I don't know. What I want you to help me make sense of. So you go up to the Pizza Hut bar, and you say, can I get a tea? And you
I guess,
hand him
yeah,
your
I was
ID.
trying to get one, but...
What were you trying to get?
An alcoholic tea.
Okay, so you're trying to use this ID to get an alcoholic beverage, okay, right?
Yeah, that's not bad.
Okay. You're aware you can't do that, right?
Yes. And then, so I'm in college too, so it's just like, I was going to use it.
So in college, they teach you to make bad decisions, or they teach, what do you learn in college?
Like, obviously, to learn.
Okay, so I don't... Because what you're telling me just doesn't make sense. You go up to the bar with this guy you met this weekend, he gave you his ID because just to have...
Yeah.
And you go up to the bar, give them an ID, say you want a tea.
Yeah.
Okay?
So I was just trying to see if I worked. So.
Okay, you're trying to see if... Do you think this even looks like you?
No.
Not at all, right?
Yeah.
So why would it even work? Why would you even try it?
I don't know yet.
Why would you take a guy's ID that you met this weekend and think that doesn't look anything like you, that you'd be able to go up to a bar and use it to get something?
I don't know. People use fake IDs all the time, so I just assumed that I would get one.
So you're aware that it's a fake ID? That's fake.
I didn't know if it was fake. He just gave me it.
Well, it's fake because it's not yours. It might be a real ID, but it's not yours.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, here comes. Give me 1 second. Where's yours? You stand with the road.
No, faking.
Did you go with, did you talk to the bar?
Yeah.
What they said?
They said that he presented that to them trying to get a Long Island iced tea.
So did you ask for a regular tea or did you ask for a Long Island iced tea?
I just said tea. Can I get a tea? Like an alcoholic. Obviously, I knew it was going to be alcoholic.
Okay.
But I'm assuming that he knew.
Okay. Where's your stuff at?
My stuff?
Yeah.
My bag. I was using food.
Is it inside? Okay. Okay.
You can stay right there for right now.
Hey, quick question. Just so we get the verbiage correctly, did he ask for a tea or a Long Island?
He asked for a Long Island tea.
That's what he asked for.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
You here alone other than the friend that you're with?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I don't really mean to cause any harm or anything, so.
So you're not causing any harm, but what you're doing, you're breaking the law, okay?
Yeah.
Laws are in place for a reason, and you can't just go somewhere and use somebody's ID
Yeah,
to buy drinks or do anything. If you have to use your ID, you have your ID, you're underage, you can't drink, you know you can't drink, right? All right, so why even try? And then you do it, and you give them the ID, then you take off, like when they say something. Like,
He told me to. He said, leave the cafe, and then
well,
That's not what the bartender told us.
I swear on anything that's what he said. He said, leave the cafe or I'm calling the cops.
well, you left the cafe and they called the cops, so it's
That's what I'm saying.
lose.
Yep.
All right,
So you wanted the Long Island iced tea, so go ahead and do me a favor. Turn around.
I got it. Go ahead, hand right back to me. Okay.
This is Democracy Watch. Mark, it looks like you have become a nightmare for Ron DeSantis down in Florida. Can you explain what you just did?
Yeah, so Ron DeSantis was bragging about the fact that he and the Republicans passed their own version of the SAVE Act. Yeah, the law that would disenfranchise millions of people, tens of millions of people nationally. Ron DeSantis took that idea and put it in a bill in Florida, and he's been bragging about this. And I've been saying on social media directly at him, if you sign this bill, we will sue you. And we were waiting and waiting and waiting. And finally, you know, in the middle of the Supreme Court oral argument, as I'm listening to that, you know, birthright citizenship argument, I've got an eye on my computer because Ron DeSantis is, I think, in the Villages, talking to a bunch of Republican seniors, telling lies about voting, telling lies about states like California, and getting ready to sign the SAVE Act. And I'm literally like, as soon as he signs, we're going to press the file button. And so the moment he signed that bill, he got sued. The state of Florida got sued, and they're going to lose. And we're going to show Florida again, as we have before, that it cannot pass these voter suppression laws without getting sued and without losing.
So talk about what the precedent would be here if you're able to defeat Ron DeSantis in Florida. What would this mean for the SAVE Act, both nationally and in other states across the country?
Yeah, so look, I think it is important that every Republican governor and secretary of state and legislature know that if they take this terrible bill that would violate the rights of U.S. citizens by making it harder for them to register to vote. And by the way, in Florida, they actually take it one step further. They don't just say new registrants have to prove citizenship. They're actually talking about kicking off the rolls people who have been voting for years and decades. I mean, they essentially have to re-register in a lot of instances, even though they've already been approved as voters in the past. And so we cannot let these ideas go forward unchallenged. And so I think we've got a very good argument and a very strong case to strike this down. And if we do it in Florida, if we're able to show that Ron DeSantis can't get away with this in Florida, it is going to be a powerful message to every Republican governor around the country that if you do this, you're going to get sued and you're going to lose. And at the end of that rainbow, by the way, you're going to have to explain to your taxpayers, not just why you wasted taxpayers' money fighting us, but also when you pay our legal fees. And that's what I hope Ron DeSantis is ready for. I hope his Secretary of State is ready for. And the taxpayers of Florida should be asking, whether they're conservatives or liberals, they should be asking their governor right now and their government, why the hell are you passing these voter suppression laws that Mark Elias then comes in and invalidates, and then you have to pay part of his legal fees?
Yeah. Yeah. It's also, the question I've gotten more than any other question as it pertains to the Save America Act or all of these, state iterations of this thing is, won't it also affect Republican voters? And so I guess the question is, what do Trump and then by extension Ron DeSantis have to gain by putting up obstacles when their own voters are going to have to abide by these obstacles?
Look, Trump doesn't care. I mean, I have this debate periodically, and I'm curious, Brian, on your take on this more generally. There's this debate that's going on at the national level. Does Trump know that he is very unpopular? And if he knows he's very unpopular, does he care? Because a normal politician would know that they're very unpopular, and then they would care a lot. So you would see them, back in the 1990s, we called it triangulation. This was the Clinton term for it. But basically what it just means is that you pivot to the center, right? Like you get unpopular as a president, and then you do some things to try to be less unpopular. And Donald Trump doesn't seem to do the things.
You mean how Donald Trump was like, I'm getting unpopular. Why don't I launch a war and break the core tenet of my entire presidency, which will in turn raise gas prices, which is like the worst possible thing you could do in the United States, especially in an election year?
Correct. Right. Exactly. So there's this big debate about why that is with Donald Trump. Is it that he doesn't know, he doesn't care, he's a psychopath, he's just my theory, he's just a dictator, and therefore he doesn't actually care that he's unpopular, he just escalates his tactics of voter suppression, election subversion. He figures he'll win the elections otherwise. But Ron DeSantis, you would think, would care that he is disenfranchising voters who will find out that they are no longer eligible to vote and then be really angry at him, right? Like he'll be disenfranchising, as you point out, not just Democrats, but disenfranchising a lot of Republicans, including, by the way, those seniors who are sitting in the villages listening to this press conference. Like, do they have their birth certificate? Do they have their birth certificate from 70 years ago or 80 years ago when they were born? Or do they just not realize that they're going to get screwed in the wake of this? So, like I said, for Donald Trump, I think he doesn't care that it's going to disenfranchise Republicans because his whole plan is to try to just steal the elections, right? His whole plan is to take over the vote counting and decide who can vote and who can't vote and all of that. And he doesn't care that a bunch of Republicans will be angry because he's constantly playing his supporters for fools.
Right.
He's constantly lying to them. I mean, look at the terrible things he says about our veterans, about people who are wounded in action, the lies he tells about the parents of deceased soldiers. I think he doesn't care. But Ron DeSantis, I don't know. These other governors, these state and local officials, you would think that they would care more about their voters than they do about pleasing Donald Trump.
I think for the Ron DeSantises of the world, there is a sense that these people, that the entire political party is just beyond reproach, that they operate in this with this air of invincibility, and in very much the same way that Donald Trump is like Teflon Don. He can say whatever he wants, do whatever he wants, and he'll never lose a voter. These people below Donald Trump, it's like this trickle down where they feel just as invincible as he is, that nothing can ever happen to them, and that they can treat their voters like absolute fools with utter contempt and disdain, and it'll never blow back on them. And I think Ron DeSantis is in the beginning part of that right now. Also, I don't
understand about it though, Brian. What I don't understand about it is Donald Trump's not Teflon. Have you looked at his poll numbers recently?
Yeah, but I think it's just this long-standing idea of who he is, and for these Republicans who want to believe that he can do no wrong and that it's more important to kowtow to the God King than have even a modicum of a spine. That's still the idea of him that persists. But I would also add, as far as Trump himself is concerned, yes, I completely agree with everything you said, especially the part where he will operate with a sense of impunity because he is fundamentally autocratic and dictatorial, and so that's how he's going to behave. But also, the people around him are not there telling him the truth. He's surrounded by yes men and sycophants. You've seen those cabinet meetings where they all just, each one tries to outdo the next in terms of how far up his ass they can shove their heads. And so the notion that these people are going to say, I don't think you should do that, sir, because it's going to poll really bad, or what you've done, sir, polls really bad. I mean, more likely is that they're just telling him, it's great. Everybody loves it. You're the best. Here's a bunch of tweets we printed out showing how everyone thinks that you're, the second coming of Christ, which is not to take any of the responsibility away from Trump, by the way, but because he is a grown-ass man, he has agency, he can see what he's doing. But I also think that the people around him certainly aren't doing him any favors.
But here's the thing. Pam Bondi just got fired. I mean, Pam Bondi did everything you just said. Pam Bondi was willing to break, decades of precedent and ignore the rule of law and bless the most absurd legal things that he had to say. She was willing to prosecute his political enemies. She was willing to, fire prosecutors, bring cases that the grand jury would reject. She was willing to subvert elections. Like she was willing to go to Congress and praise the stock market. Like literally, she went to the White House, she went to Congress to testify about the Department of Justice, and she's touting Donald Trump's stock market prowess.
Right, as justification not to release the Epstein files, because you couldn't possibly get accountability for pedophiles when the Dow's at 50,000, but go on.
Right, but yet at the end of it all, she gets tossed aside.
Yeah.
So don't they realize, if you're Howard Lutnick, if you are, Tulsi Gabbard, if you're Pete Hegseth, if you are, Sean Duffy, if you are, just pick your cabinet official. Do you really think he has, Marco Rubio, do you think he has an ounce of loyalty to you? He'll throw you overboard so fast, you won't know why it is all of a sudden you're underwater.
Yeah.
And so that is true to his cabinet. It's also true to his voters. It's also true to these governors and these state legislatures that are passing these voter suppression laws. The moment we beat him in court and he looks weak, Donald Trump will have a million people to blame. He'll blame the judges. He'll blame me. But you know what? He'll also blame Ron DeSantis. He'll also say, oh, you didn't, you're too weak. You're too, you're not up to it. You're whatever. And the contempt that I have for these Republicans who are spineless is nothing compared to the contempt that Donald Trump has for the same people.
I completely agree. I think the only thing, the true tragedy of today's MAGA Republican Party is not just that these people will debase themselves by sticking their neck on the line for Donald Trump or going to work for Donald Trump or sacrificing every ounce of their integrity or their principles for Donald Trump. Even worse than that is that these people do so thinking that somehow they're special, thinking that somehow the thing that's happened to all these other Republicans will never happen to them. It's happened to Michael Cohen, George Papadopoulos, Gordon Sondland, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Mike Pence, Reince Priebus, Ronna McDaniel, Pam Bondi, Kristi Noem, but somehow everybody else in their own mind, they're special. They are completely immune from Donald Trump's ire, which he shows to everybody. And that really does put on full display the delusion that these people are trafficking in, that nobody expects the thing that is inevitable to ever happen to them.
No, it's absolutely right. And look, this is a dangerous time in American history. It is dangerous for precisely the reasons you say, which is that you have sycophants around the president of the United States. And look, let's just say the part out loud that we have to say. If you saw Donald Trump on TV the other night, this is not a well man. Right. I mean, this is an elderly man who he was reading off a teleprompter. I mean, if you watched his Iran address, everyone, and you thought, okay, he didn't seem good, he didn't seem like he had energy, he didn't seem entirely coherent and, all there, that was him reading off a teleprompter. Okay. And this is a guy who is surrounded, as you say, by sycophants who will not deliver bad news, but will also do whatever his whim is, whether that is starting a war or whether it is seizing ballots, whether it is lying about gas prices or it's lying about elections. And so as we head towards the fall, the reason why this series that Brian and I do is so important for you to be subscribed to, and I hope you're already subscribed. And if you're not already, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and please hit the bell to make sure you're alerted when there's new content. But the reason why this is so important is because as he gets more deranged and more desperate, And as he issues more executive orders, like, Brian and I talked about in a previous episode that we're challenging in court, as he counts on more Republican governors like Ron DeSantis to be willing to do more extreme things to disenfranchise you. And when that doesn't work, he deploys ICE. And when that doesn't work, he sends in the new attorney general to seize ballots. And when that doesn't work, he just declares that the numbers are not what the numbers say they are, and his math rules the day. As that happens, the role that the rest of us are going to play is more important than ever. And the first thing that I need everyone to do is to be educated and informed, because look, I can go to court and I can fight and I can win, but I need everyone to be informed about that is happening and to share that information more broadly. Because like you said, he's becoming more detached. His sycophants are becoming worse, but also, like I said, we got to admit, Brian, he's not well.
Yeah.
Like some of this is the autocratic impulse of someone who wants to be an autocrat. Some of this is just a guy who's bragging about taking a cognitive test. I mean,
right.
He's claiming he's acing a cognitive test that is given to people who may suffer from dementia. I mean, there's no acing a cognitive test.
Yeah, there's just okay, you don't yet have dementia. So like, yeah. Well, look, I think what you said is especially important, and also underscores the fact that in terms of people being able to fight back against this stuff, yes, it's absolutely important to stay informed. The number one resource that I use to do that, even besides having these videos with Mark, is to read every single day what comes into my inbox from Democracy Docket, which is the news outlet Mark himself founded to focus on everything voting and elections. Please, if you've not yet signed up, support his work by not only elevating his voice in this ecosystem, but supporting the cases that he's bringing in court. He's got almost 100 cases across the country right now, including this one that we're talking about right here in Florida, where the only thing standing between Ron DeSantis being successful at passing his version of the SAVE Act and not is Mark and his team. So again, small step that we can all take to support one of the biggest fighters that we have in the entire country right now is to subscribe to Democracy Docket. So I'm going to put that link right here on the screen and also in the post description of this video. I'm Brian Taylor Cohen.
I'm Mark Elias.